So overall, I mean, how are you feeling in general? Excited, nervous, worried?
But we're just doing our job, preparing for the convention, but we're also representing our membership, trying to organize new members.
So are you thinking about, I mean, obviously you're very busy right now, but are you thinking about, you know, next Thursday and next Friday, and then what happens after that?
Absolutely not. Right now we're just focused on one thing, and that's making sure that we take care of our convention like we should, take care of business there, and continue to represent our membership. We've got bargaining underway. We've got organizing drives underway. We got legislative agenda in Washington that we're working on. So we've just got a lot of things going on.
When you look back at the last 8 years, and it's been so crazy at times, you've got 1 week left. I mean, does it get emotional at all when you think of everything you've been through?
Not really. Look, it's a privilege and an honor to hold an elected position within our union, whether it's at the local union level or whether it's at the international union level. And we're privileged to be here. So all I'm focused on is taking care of our membership, both active and retired, to the very best of my ability up until the last day. I haven't thought beyond that, and that's a matter of fact.
When you first joined the union way back when, did you ever dream that you would get to this level? And
I'm like everybody else, no. I mean, you go in, and I was always involved in the local. I started off as on a standing committee in the local union. I come out of a local 862 in Louisville, Kentucky. We call it Louisville, but I actually am a Hoosier, lived in Indiana all my life, just drove across the river. And I just got involved. I thought, you know, if I'm going to be here and make this a living, then I want to be involved. So I got involved in the local, and then from there went on. But look, a lot of it is luck, just being in the right place at the right time. And but you got to have the confidence of the membership. Without the membership, none of us would move to any position, and that's the bottom line.
And when you think about how far you moved up, and you know, you had the support of the membership and all the people you got to meet all these years, great experience, great opportunity for you.
Sure, but it's never about an individual. I think that's the most important thing we have to remember. What it's about the organization and the people that we're privileged to represent. As an individual, you can't do anything. I can't open any doors. It's the power of the UAW, the power of the membership that opens those doors, that allows you to walk through and represent people. And I've always been aware of that. I keep that first and foremost in my mind. I couldn't do anything without the power of the membership.
What did you enjoy the most?
Well, it's not about enjoying anything the most. It's just an honor and a privilege to represent people, and then the friendships that you make along the way. We've got a lot of wonderful fans, our friends in our union family. And so we're just, you know, I never look at what I enjoy the most or what I detest the most. I just love doing what I'm doing.
When you look back at the last 2 terms, biggest successes that you enjoyed, do you think?
You know, I don't measure success one way or the other, and I'll tell you why. Because it depends on your personal perspective. If a person has a grievance that we're able to get resolved in their favor, to them, that's the biggest thing that ever happened. If we're able to get a major contract ratified, that's a big deal. So everything we do impacts people. So all of it together, I don't know how you separate that one from the other. It's just, you know.
Is there anything you look back on and say, ooh, that didn't go exactly how I hoped it would, or I would have done this differently?
I try not to Monday morning quarterback myself or anybody else. I try to arm myself with the facts and make a decision based on that. And look, you're going to get criticism no matter what you do, but by the same token, you do the best you can and what you believe is in the best interest of the membership. And as long as you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I did it to the best of my ability, I gave it my all, I did the right thing in my mind, then I go on from there.
Did you ever think way back when, did you ever think you'd see the day when GM would go into bankruptcy or Chrysler?
I could recall in the very early 90s, there was talk about GM going into bankruptcy. I think most people, and I'm one of them, that would have thought that wouldn't happen, that it couldn't happen. But it did happen. And again, you deal with it based on the facts. If you just go back to 2007, when we went into 2007 negotiations at General Motors, their stock was hovering around $20 a share. we came out of those negotiations, their stock was $42 a share. In fact, right here at Channel 7, you guys named the UAW Newsmaker of the Year because of what was referred to as the transformational agreements then. By the end of '07, we were headed into the deepest recession since the 1930s. And if you look at what happened around the world, not only here at home with the subprime mortgage crisis, with the tight money markets, the collapse of Wall Street, the $4 a gallon gasoline, all of those things were factors. But it wasn't just here. It was the whole world that was impacted by what happened in '08. And every original equipment manufacturer suffered as a result of it. It just so happened these companies were in a weakened enough position that they couldn't weather the storm.
What do you think of the auto industry today? How is everybody faring in your view, and where do you see it going?
I think the auto industry is in very good shape today. I like to say that I think Ford's hitting on all cylinders, and they're setting the standard for the industry, not just the domestic industry. General Motors is coming on strong. They'll be the first manufacturer in the world to build a B platform car in the United States. And Chrysler, I think that is the story that most analysts have been saying all along, that Chrysler wouldn't make it, but I have all the confidence in the world that Sergio Marchionne is going to pull that out.
Why is Ford setting the standard?
Well, Ford, right now, they're picking up market share. They've got great quality ratings. They've got product in the pipeline that continues to come out. And they're profitable and doing well. Not just one quarter, but doing well. And of course, they're all profitable, or they all reported a profit in the first quarter of this year. But I think the ability to capture the market share right now, Ford's got a bit of an edge on that.
What do you think about Alan Mulally?
Well, I knew Alan Mulally when he was at Boeing. As a matter of fact, 4 years I was vice president of our union. I got to work with Alan Mulally. And when Bill Ford told me that he was bringing Alan Mulally on board, at that time, Bill was going to step aside. I thought it was a stroke of genius. I knew Mullally's ability, and I knew that he was the guy that could come in there. But you got to step back and look at that situation and applaud Bill Ford for being the courageous individual that he was, saying, look, I need help to run this company. Prior to bringing Alan Mulally in the spring of '06, he mortgaged the Blue Oval, meaning Bill Ford, set a path to where when Alan Mulally got there, he was able to help close the deal. But they basically said, we're going to borrow money now because now's the time. And that's what put Ford out a bit of an edge here.
Ed Whittaker.
Ed Whittaker is down to earth, very respectful of organized labor, and especially from our standpoint, from the UAW standpoint. He's very respectful of us, open to our policy. I really like Ed Whittaker.
And Sergio Marchionne, what do you think?
I think Sergio Marchionne is a great guy. And I think he's got the ability to turn Chrysler around and make it a strong, viable company.
What do you think about
it's going to happen?
And the new products that are coming out from all three? Anything that stands out to you that you really like or are excited for that you think?
Well, look, all of them are coming out with good products. Now, Chrysler has a bigger gap in the pipeline, if you will, on getting products out, but I'm not concerned about that because, again, I believe Sergio Marchionne's there. If you take a look at that new Grand Cherokee that they just came out with, it's wonderful. But I think they've all got great product, and I think beyond that, the latest poll that showed that Americans, 38% to 33%, prefer the domestic auto products was great news for us. And, you know, we've been fighting the perception for a number of years, I mean, literally decades, about the quality of the vehicles and et cetera. And we have just stayed the course. And we believe in safety and quality and productivity. And the customer is number one. And we have just stayed that course, regardless of the rhetoric to the contrary, and now it's finally starting to pay off.
Yeah, is the stigma still there about American cars as compared to the Japanese or Europeans? Is it still there?
I just alluded to that point. It's still there in some people's mind, and I'm sure it will always be there in some people's mind. But I think there's been a dramatic change looking at it from a standpoint of a consumer today. Once people get in the showroom and look at the products that the big three have to offer, they're very complementary. And more you're seeing that in the shift in market share. And look, all of these industries are under a tremendous amount of pressure. Every day. Competition is fierce. It's a capital-intensive business. It's very cyclical. But everybody's in the same boat. And as we've learned this past year, nobody's perfect.
What's the role of the UAW going to be in the near future and down the road?
The role of the UAW is what it's always been, and that's to bring a form of equity and justice into the workplace, democracy in the workplace, if you will. But it's beyond that. It's beyond our bargaining and our negotiations. We still have a legislative agenda, because the things that we do don't just impact our members. It impacts everybody in many ways, whether it's workers' comp legislation, unemployment insurance benefits that we're lobbying for. We lobbied hard for an increase in the minimum wage. That didn't impact our membership, but what that did, that was the right thing to do for our country and for our economy. So when we're out here pushing issues like health care and those things, to us, that's critically important to our country. And we're going to continue to talk about those issues that negatively impact our industry. We're the most open market in the world, as one example. Currency manipulation is another one. We're going to oppose agreements like the Korean-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. That is a one-sided agreement that's clearly in the favor of South Korea, and it's going to hurt our industry here. So those are the kind of things and the issues that we'll continue to take on.
What are your thoughts today on the two-tier wage system?
Really, would we prefer that it not be there? Sure. By the same token, then there may come a day, and it would be a long-term objective, that we would eventually do away with it. But it was necessary for us to put in the two-tier to get where we're at today. And I do not regret having done it.
Was that a key concession, or was that the key one, or?
Well, I don't know that it was a key concession. It came about in 2007 negotiations. We would have preferred, as I indicated, to keep people all at the same wage rate. But look, it was an impossibility. And bargaining is the art of the possible, not the impossible, as Dick Shoemaker, our former vice president, have said many times. And I will say this, you can have the best contract in the world, but if you don't have a job to go with it, what have you got? And we're about jobs and people. And sure, we don't want to see people's standard of living go down. But we've got to maintain jobs for our members, and we do what is necessary to make sure that comes about. And look, we're a democratic union, very democratic union. No matter what we negotiate, our membership has the final say on whether it's passed or not passed. And so we're comfortable with where we're at.
Do you know, has it caused any tension in any of the facilities where the newer hires are upset or, feel that they're not getting paid like their older counterparts?
Well, it's not, and let me just back up on the two-tier. In auto, it just came about, but it's been in a lot of plants for years. Is there friction? To a degree, but the longer it's there, the less friction there is. But that doesn't stop us from trying to eliminate it in the future. But again, we want these companies to stay in business. If they're out of business, we don't have jobs. And I'm not saying concessions is a way to keep them, but I'm saying at the time, you have to make decisions on what's in the best interest of the membership. And we fight for jobs. To us, every single job is important.
What are your thoughts on your successor, Bob King?
Bob King's a great guy. He's got a lot of experience, a lot of background. Bob and I both, when we were in the local union, served on the National Negotiating Committee together. But he's well-rounded individual. He's a very smart person. He's got a lot of education, but he's also got a lot of experience. And in this business, the experience is more important than the education on many occasions. Bob led our organizing for 8 years, so he knows that. He's led bargaining and proved that he can do that well. But you said our successor. We're going into this convention prepared to hold an election, which we will do. We're going to win with our candidate. There's no question in my mind about that. So I don't want to just say that it's over, because it's not over. But Bob will be successful. He'll be, in my opinion, one of the best presidents the UAW's ever had.